So Margarita, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited to hear a bit more about your background and also just insights about the financial services industry at large, especially the within financial planning. So before we get started, would you mind sharing just a little bit about your background and your focus?
Sure. So my name is Margarita Maria Chang. I am multiracial and multicultural. So my dad was born in China and came to the US by way of Taiwan. So my dad said, born in China, educated in Taiwan, American. And my mom is of Eastern European Irish descent, born in upstate New York, attended high school in Texas, lived in the Netherlands and overseas. Why am I telling you that? Because it's so important. Um, I never looked at myself as being like extroverted or gregarious, but the ability to connect and relate with others is so important for um, our profession.
Absolutely. I'm sure that helps you day to day and just connecting with clients and understanding different perspectives and all of that as well. So, um,
Absolutely. That was kind of the fast forward version. So, what's interesting, a lot of people don't know this about me, is I'm actually a career changer, even though I've been a planner for 22 years.
oh,
Um, I actually studied corporate finance and East Asian language and literature in college. My
awesome.
first job, every job is a real job, but I would say my no, it is, especially if you've had some of those service jobs when you were younger. They definitely teach you character. But my first job post graduation was at a Japanese investment bank, securities firm, and I wrote the newsletter for English speaking and investors.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was my first job in the world of finance. And that job was using all my skills, but I decided that I wanted to, something felt missing. And that's when I discovered the discipline of personal finance.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, this is super cool. I can take these concepts of, strong balance sheets, a statement of cash flows, and apply those to individuals and families.
And that's what you're focused on today on a day-to-day basis.
Correct, absolutely. Because, in my 20s, I was well aware, even though I was one of those kids that was like 17 going on 40, I was like, who's going to take me seriously in my 20s? Like, how can I be sitting across from clients telling him, her, or them about retirement planning? They're going to
Mhm.
look at me and be like, what do you know? So I helped um, my husband with his career. We also made sure our financial house was in order, paying down student loans, credit card, buying a house, giving birth to two babies. And then I was like, you know what? That's it. Like, I have street credibility. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be a planner.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. And you've been doing it for some time and been very successful at it. So, which is, all positive. So, um, well, I'd love to hear a little bit more. The industry's been changing so much, and new learnings and new business models and that sort of thing. So I'd love to just hear a little bit more about how do you keep up with it all? I mean, just look at COVID the last year. I mean, so many firms are going virtual now, and what do you feel like you're doing to stay relevant, in the know with not only what you're advising to clients, but then also just from a business perspective. Are there podcasts you listen to or articles that you read or that sort of thing? How do you stay current?
Sure. I mean, it is the one thing that is constant is change. So early on, um, you know, I've always done work virtually because I have three kids. When I entered the profession, my daughter was 3, my son was 6 months old, and I hadn't even given birth to my third. And I remember my boss looked at me or people in the office like, that laptop, like, you're not going to get reimbursed for it. And I said, I don't care. I bought this so I can do my financial plans at home when my kids are taking a nap. So, gosh, I was always at the forefront because the way I saw the world is there's only 24 hours in a day, and I have to make sure that I am really managing my time. I do read a lot. I follow, of course, Michael Kitces. I'm I'm part of the advisor growth community, the AGC. Um, Huge fan of Kate Holmes in innovating advice.
Mhm.
And I read a lot. I'm based here in DC, and this is what I say, it can be overwhelming. I don't necessarily need to agree with everything I read. And I think that's really important because you want to read a different perspective so you understand what clients are reading and feeling and experiencing.
Absolutely. No, those are some really good resources as well. And I'm sure being in DC, you probably stumble upon all kinds of, talks and speakers and all of that as well. So good hub for knowledge.
Absolutely. Sometimes we're probably a little bit too wired, like,
Yeah.
but I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way, right? At least
No,
it's better to be, you can
understandable.
always turn it off, right? You can always turn it
That's
off.
true. That's true. Absolutely. Retreat in your own way. So, and then tell me a little bit more about, what makes you sort of the proudest of working for your company or within this industry. Think sometimes I feel like it can get a bad reputation, and I feel like there's been a lot of push to have that not be the case. So I love just to hear more of the positive about, yeah, what kind of like what wakes you up and what makes you the proudest about what you do on a day to day basis.
So I absolutely love this question. In fact, last night I asked my eldest daughter, she's like, well, Mom, what do you think? I think that, when I first entered the profession, I didn't really see anybody who looked like me. And I'm not just talking about gender, race, ethnicity. I also mean demographic. I didn't see a lot of young mothers. Um, it was very isolating. I don't want to misrepresent, but I think that this profession, it presents amazing opportunities for everyone. It is not about pushing people out, rather bringing people in. Um, you know, we need more women. We need more people of diverse backgrounds, whether that's racial, ethnic, religious diversity, and even sexual orientation, because we want our profession to reflect the communities where we live, right? And
Mhm.
so I do think that when people hear financial planning, some things come to mind, like, well, I don't have any money to invest. Investing is just a component of financial planning. The other thing that comes to mind is people think boiler room or Wall Street, but
Mhm.
we're really about like building relationships and nurturing relationships.
Mhm.
And I guess what I'm most proud of is the work we do. Um, it's the work is intellectually stimulating, it's emotionally gratifying. I mean, it's hard work, but I can put my head on the pillow at night knowing that like I am making a positive impact in the lives of my clients, their families, and the communities. And that's kind of like um, what gets me up in the morning, what gets me really excited.
Yeah. No, so good to point out. I think, you're right. There can be those stereotypes. And then there's the work that you mentioned, right? There's investment side, there's financial planning side, but I think that sometimes um it's easy to overlook the real emotional side. I mean, you're talking to people about really difficult long-term plans, and it gets into family and personal. And so, like you said, I mean, you have an opportunity to see the inside and really help to shape, um, those dreams and goals, which is really, it's powerful work. So, uh,
Absolutely. I mean, I think that the other thing I'm really proud of is not just what I do, but what the community of planners does to help their clients. I've had some clients who have experienced tremendous adversity, like loss of loved ones to COVID, right? Or job loss to COVID. Um, it's hard. I can't bring back their loved one, but their loved one planned and knew um, that financial planning isn't just about um, investing, but
yep,
it's also about protection planning and
right.
estate planning for those that you may leave behind. And that, like, my words are cracking a little bit, but that gives me tremendous sense of pride And I really want to make sure that I'm changing the face of what it means to um, grow, protect, and transfer wealth.
Yep, no, absolutely. And I know you mentioned some of the diversity, equity, and inclusion pieces of it. And I know we were talking earlier about the work you've done with NAPFA. So happy to link to any public videos or things that might be out there, as I know you've had a voice in a lot of those conversations as well. So, um, and then do you mind sharing a little bit more about we've got this question here is what is the most unpopular opinion in the industry and how do you address it? So is there a particular unpopular opinion about, I don't know, the way about doing business or approaches to investing or um, I'd love to hear challenges that you're seeing internally and what you're doing to overcome those.
Well, sure. I mean, I think that like when I entered the profession, some of the same conversations we had then we're having now. Like, you can't make money if you don't, if your clients don't have assets under management. I think that yes, clients do need to invest to reach their goals. But I think what's really important, I want to dispel this myth that there is room for different business models and different compensation models. There's nothing wrong with AUM. There's nothing wrong with subscription. There's nothing wrong with retainer. It really comes down to what services do you want to provide? What is most appropriate for the audience you're serving? So I just want to dispel that myth. Like there's room for many different business models to serve different clients and support different um, practitioner lifestyle.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes I feel like you see firms where it's kind of a trying to one size fits all, versus really focusing on who they're going after or what the right business model is from a cost standpoint or what have you. So I think that that's a fair point to really say that you've got to find the right fit for you and for your firm too. So
Well, I think
um,
another myth is that, like, well, now they say millennials, but they said Gen Xers didn't want to pay for advice. And I don't think that's true. Um, people can download an asset allocation model off the internet. They
mhm,
may not want to pay you for that. But if you help them, hey, what's the best way for you to withdraw funds to get your 3 children through college and save for retirement at the same time? That's a value to them. And they might be more inclined to pay for that. So I think that, yeah, that's another myth. Young people don't want to pay for help.
mhm.
They
Yeah,
don't want help.
very, very fair. Um, great. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any other resources or thoughts as we wrap up here?
So I would encourage people to be involved with any of the professional associations because um, no matter how long you've been in the business, whether you just graduated or just passed the CFP certification exam, we need all of you because we need everyone to play an active role because all have so much to contribute. So that's what I would say.
Excellent. Margarita, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the insights you've been able to provide. We'll make sure to link to, a number of the groups and associations that you've mentioned below so folks can check it out a little bit more. But again, thank you for your time and we will continue the conversation online.
Thanks so much for having me.
Great, thank you.